President Obama's press secretary, Josh Earnest, was quick to defend the president's actions.
Former President George H.W. Bush and his wife Barbara are doing much better tonight after they were hospitalized earlier this week.
It started erupting back in 1983. Some of these lava flows are 80 feet deep. Very unusual scene taking place here on Capitol Hill. Dozens of Democratic lawmakers are staging a sit-in protest. They are demanding a vote on new gun laws. But American allies in the Middle East don't necessarily agree. President Obama met here at the White House with Saudi Arabia's foreign minister on Friday, and he says a political solution can only happen through the use of force. Hillary Clinton is calling on Congress to go a step further. She wants to reinstate the assault weapons ban, signed into law by her husband in 1994 and expired in 2004.
Imagine with a plane like this, you didn't have to do a lot of cleaning on it. It looks brand new almost.
This aircraft is in great condition.
What are the possible uses for this C-27J?
This has been a really rough recovery for Jason Pierce. He actually underwent another surgery just yesterday. Now tonight we are learning that whoever attacked him and left him for dead right downtown may have committed another crime a short time later.
Yeah, they are still here on the scene. What they're trying to do is figure out if those unaccounted for made it out of the building or if they could possibly still be trapped in the rubble back here at this apartment complex. The explosion was huge. One resident of the complex said they thought it was a bomb blast, and someone else who lives a couple of blocks away said they thought it was an earthquake.
The explosion at a four-story apartment complex in Silver Spring, Maryland was massive, shaking the surrounding area and scattering debris a couple hundred feet away.
At first we heard like a big boom, like a big loud noise, and my aunt went outside and checked, and then she saw like a lot of fire outside.
Hundreds of firefighters rushed to the chaotic scene just before midnight.
Firefighters responded and were met with heavy fire conditions and multiple rescues to be made. They went to work, did in fact make multiple rescues, and transported 31 people to the hospital.
Investigators haven't determined what caused the explosion. 3 firefighters were hurt, but all have been released from the hospital.
People trapped on 2nd and 3rd floor.
Several people remain missing as relatives wait for answers.
This is my aunt.
Melba Quezada's aunt and uncle live in the building and have not been located.
It's terrible because my grandma is waiting for news. She's very old, she's very sick, and it's hard for us to tell her your son may be dead.
Teams are working to secure the building, which is in danger of collapsing.
And families are trying to remain hopeful, but as time passes, hope here is fading. The emergency crews here on the scene are still trying to pick through the rubble and see if there is somebody trapped. 2 weeks ago, there was an emergency call from someone in this complex. They reported smelling gas. We're told that emergency responders came out here. They were on the scene for about 15 minutes and they left. It's unclear if any action was taken. Live in Silver Spring, Maryland, Adam May, CBS 4 News.
Why did they not get a full refund?
Actually, they did. They went on camera and said they didn't. But you know what? They reversed the credit card charges.
But they also say that they sent you this check for $16,000. And here's a letter from Sarah at your office acknowledging that you guys took in that check for $16,000. They claim they're owed $16,000.
But you know what? We provided, I know what the contract says, but we did provide services to them.
But your contract specifically says embryo transfer. They did not get an embryo transfer. Don't they deserve that $16,000, Rudy?
I needed time to do that.
Right now at 11 News tonight, veterans and Muslims standing together to be heard following the new travel ban on certain Muslim-majority nations here in the U.S. But first tonight, we're following some breaking news coming out of Quebec City, Canada, where police say 5 people have been shot at a mosque during evening prayers. We're told 2 gunmen are now in custody. The premier of Quebec called the act barbaric violence. Other details are still unfolding at this hour, including a possible motive.
Well, President Trump's sweeping immigration orders ignited another day of protests across the country.
Yeah, the orders led to the detention of more than a dozen international travelers at New York's JFK airport, and more than 100 people were held and questioned at other airports all across the country. Dan Sheneman has the latest. Tonight, Representative Andy Harris tells 11 News he believes the travel ban and the suspension of the Syrian refugee program are both necessary. Well, 16 attorney generals, including Maryland AG Brian Frosh, have condemned President Trump's travel ban. They say religious liberty is one of the cornerstones of this country, and no president should be allowed to change that. All right, Tony, thanks. Tonight, police are investigating a deadly stabbing that happened this afternoon in North Baltimore. Police were called to Brentwood Avenue just before 5 o'clock. They found a 39-year-old man suffering from multiple stab wounds. And just an hour earlier, around 3:45, city police responded to a shooting in northeast Baltimore. Officers say they found a 25-year-old man on Bowleys Lane with gunshot wounds to both of his arms. A New Jersey woman is charged with attempted murder for allegedly throwing a 5-year-old girl right onto the train tracks. It happened Friday night.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our special coverage. I'm Adam May in New York. And Mike, really interesting because as the counting begins right now, recent polling shows that Donald Trump has a very strong lead going into today. It'll be interesting to see if those numbers hold up and mirror the polls, and this will be really a race for second place, and second place has never been so critical. Lenny McAllister, let's start with you. It seems like they like his candor. They like that he says what's on his mind, right? What else are people liking about Donald Trump? How do you explain the runaway Donald Trump right now?
They like to be entertained and not really looking at the issues. The bottom line is, if this is the fifth most religious state, if this...
Lenny, you're saying that a lot of people would find that insulting. I mean, they're saying that they're not paying attention to the issues. Is that really what you think a lot of Republican voters are doing? I need to ask you about comments made by National Review editor Rich Lowry. He's basically saying that he's leading this effort right now to have well-known conservatives denounce Trump, calling him a fake conservative, a menace to the conservative movement. Is Donald Trump a conservative?
Well, he's certainly more conservative than any of the Democrats that are running.
And what do you make about Sarah Palin? She's jumped in?
I think she endorsed Trump, but I don't think she's significant outside of Iowa at this point.
She certainly does have a lot of money behind her, and she has helped candidates. Don't you think that her voice in this could change things? Lance, I want to start with you. You're our tech guy on this panel, if we could call you that. We've got 61,000 bridges in this country right now that are deficient. We need $740 billion just to fix our existing roads. Why is this a wise investment of government money? But let's talk about Michigan. I mean, Michigan is a state that is broke. And when you have, what, 51 different U.S. municipalities that filed for bankruptcy between 2010 and 2015, and people are looking to cut costs all over the place, shouldn't we expect things like this, Faiza?
Oh, my goodness. Well, this is even better than I thought.
Dr. Carla Hayden is the nation's 14th Librarian of Congress. She's also the first female and the first African American to hold the post.
African Americans were denied the right to read for so many years, even punished severely. And so it's really significant for me personally to head an institution of knowledge and the epitome of what reading can do.
Founded in 1800, the Library of Congress is the nation's oldest federal cultural institution. Open to the public, it's also the largest library in the world. Appointed by President Obama last year, Hayden is still learning her way around these historic hallways.
Every day, I see something different and exciting, and it makes me want to learn more.
Written in Rosa Parks' hand.
Like the Rosa Parks collection, handwritten notes and letters now being scanned and put online so everyone can see them.
And you can see her crossouts. And for a young person to actually look at this, just showing you the power of what digitizing collections can do.
Of the 162 million items housed here, one stands out to the nation's lead librarian.
My favorite book is the book that really showed me who I could be in childhood, and that's Bright April.
Hayden keeps a copy of the 1946 children's book in her office, a groundbreaking story of a young African-American girl tackling issues of racial prejudice.
I could see myself in a book, and I love books, and that's why it's so important for young people to see themselves in books, but also use books to see other things that they might not imagine.
And now, she's an inspiration, overseeing the written history of America while making history herself.
What young people will see when they see a librarian of Congress that's the first woman, the first African American, is, boy, I can be the first in anything, and there are no barriers.
Adam May, WBAL TV 11 News.